Well, this morning we are joined by David Burton with Missouri Extension. And David, I'm very, very happy to be able to talk to you right now because our country is, in some ways more divided than ever. And being able to have a conversation about being a good neighbor and extending a helpful hand to your neighbors and just showing love and kindness, it sounds so easy. It sounds so simple and basic, but we're talking about this because it is really important. And especially heading into a new year, it couldn't be more important. So what kind of conversations have you been having to help people understand what kind of an impact they can have on the people who live next door?
Yeah, like neighboring is a broad topic, but you've given it some focus here. And really, I feel like we're called to love our neighbor, and that means you love them in spite of their problems and their messes. It means you love them no matter who they voted for, or no matter what yard signs they had in their yards. And when you love people, a good part of that is service, doing acts of service, doing things that help develop and foster a relationship. You can't have a good relationship with someone and not agree on everything. I have good friends that we do not agree on everything. That's not a pre-requirement to being a good neighbor. But being a good neighbor, a key part of that is developing these relationships. So that's an important thing for us to be learning and thinking about, is developing those relationships. And I've heard it said that if you want a better nation, work on having a better state. If you want a better state, work on developing a better county. If you want a better county, develop better cities. If you want a better city, develop a better neighborhood. I think it all comes back to that. Your neighborhood is something that you can easily impact, that you can easily have an influence on. And that all begins by learning and using the names of your neighbors and developing positive relationships with them.
You have different training seminars, programs that Missouri Extension offers. Can you sort of walk us through what those are and how unintimidating those are? Because, it sounds like something that you would go to in an extreme situation at first, right? I've been a terrible neighbor. I need to bring myself back to par. But it's actually something that it's perfect if you haven't even thought about it at all. It's probably the ideal time to approach a program like this, and they're completely free.
Yeah, I think it is the ideal time as we're coming out of COVID and other things here. I think neighboring is going to be a word you're going to hear a lot in the next 2 to 3 years, and especially starting now. So it's a perfect time. And there's a lot of ways we're trying to engage people on this topic. Of course, I will do company programs and events, but we have a monthly program online called Neighboring 101. You can find that on the Extension website. It's free to register for. It's an hour during the noon hour where we talk about neighboring examples, and we look at examples around the nation where people are doing this well and have found ways to do it in their own neighborhood. It's always informative and entertaining, and it's free.
With MLK Day coming up here, I have to ask you, his message was very neighborly. And does that message that he sent and that he worked so hard to convey, is that something that you've sort of incorporated into your work?
Absolutely. He talked a lot about loving your neighbor, but one of my favorite quotes of his is when he says, anybody can be great because anyone can serve. And it's this idea of getting acquainted and developing relationships with people through service, as opposed to going to an event where you hand out business cards or a cocktail hour or worrying about how many Instagram followers you have. A better approach are acts of service and serving with others. People love that. It can show you genuinely care, and it helps foster relationships in doing that. And best of all, it's something you can do right there in your own neighborhood.
Well, David, we really appreciate your time this morning. We're going to have all the information about Neighboring 101 and what Missouri Extension offers on our website. Just go to KOAMnewsnow.com, and we will be right back on the KOAM Morning News right after this.